Back on the show that is all about small business, jobs, and entrepreneurship. You're listening to Get Down to Business. I'm your host, Shalom Klein. So, perfect intro, talking about business climate with Rachel Cherney to our next guest and our next subject. We're talking with Alderman Bob Fioretti, who represents the 2nd Ward of the city of Chicago and is running to replace Rahm Emanuel as mayor. Alderman, welcome to the show.
Great to be here. Thank you very much.
So let's jump right into it. You want to create the right environment for people to work in Chicago, for people to live in Chicago, for people to play in Chicago. What do you think that will take?
Well, I think it takes, first of all, I think we have to look at education. That becomes the way that we need to, where it all begins, and that's how we have jobs. You don't have prosperity, you don't have a good quality of life unless we commit to a top-notch education for all of our children in the city. And at the same time, the city really hasn't been committed as much as we believe in the last 4 years to that. So we need to reinvest in our schools to start really a cycle of prosperity and strength within our neighborhoods. And that leads us to good families and good neighborhoods then.
Right now, the hot topic is an elected school board. Are you in favor?
Yes. I've been, in fact, since when I first ran for alderman, I've been in favor of an elected school board. That was way back in 2006. I was running for in 2007 to be sworn in. And I ran because I looked at what was happening in our educational system, and I saw an article in the Chicago Tribune that said 6 out of every 100 African-American kids make it through college. I just thought the numbers were so low that somebody has to do something and make sure we can do it better.
Why is Mayor Emanuel not caving on this issue? Why does he want to appoint a school board?
I don't know. That's a good question, because I think sometimes they see so much power and democratically elected boards are not to be feared. In fact, just before we started, we were talking about one individual I know who's on a school board up there in your area. Every other school board system in the state of Illinois is an elected school board. I don't think there's anything to fear from it.
Right now, just last week, actually, Governor Bruce Rauner was inaugurated as the new governor of the state of Illinois. Everybody knows that Bruce and Rahm have a friendship. Some might say that Rahm is in a position to benefit from that relationship, from a strong relationship with the governor. What do you say to that?
Well, first of all, I think I'm not sure if he's going to benefit or if he's going to kowtow to what happens from what the governor tells him. Let's not forget, when he took his leave from the White House way back when, and not the first leave, he went to one of the Rauner's companies and made $18 million in a short period of time. Not a bad deal, less than a year and a half or so. I think all of us would love to have that same deal. So I'm not sure who's going to benefit from which relationship and how.
Do you think Rahm Emanuel relates well to most challenges that residents of the city of Chicago have?
I think he relates fairly well to the 1%. And so after that, we'll see.
So the needs of residents and business owners, after all, this is a show about small business, are many, and they're across the board. For many people there's folks that are struggling to put food on the table, struggling for basic needs. For others, there's other needs. There's crime, there's safety. Let's talk about crime and safety. What do you believe can be done differently?
Well, first of all, I do believe that we need additional 500 police officers. I think we can find that in the budget now. 2 years ago, a group of us did find it in the budget. They had a 5-minute hearing. They said, well, when we need it, we're going to pull it up, and they never did. We see the numbers escalating on crime and on the shootings in the city of Chicago, and we really have to cut down on that. On the north side, we have a serious crime problem. In the month of December, I can't remember exactly how many people were killed, but it was huge. Again, 250 maybe people shot in the city of Chicago. But four shootings and murders stick out. There was a young man killed near Loyola, a student there. A young man near Truman College who was starting his job and unloading or loading into a car some material. A 31-year-old father at getting off of work from, I think, a fast food place, getting onto a bus or off of a bus at at Ogden and Western. And then, of course, somebody was killed over a jacket, a 15-year-old over at State and 63rd Street. So crime is a problem throughout the city, and we have to address it to make sure that we have a safer city, especially for small businesses, which are the backbone. You know, we talk about the big companies and the corporate headquarters and the people that work, but it's the small businesses, such as Rachel, what she has, and those are the ones that we have to protect. We have to find tax breaks for them. We have to make sure that they have access, good permits, quick permits, because, you know, sometimes there's not a lot of money that people are investing in small. When I say not a lot of money, it's all their fortune that they have that they're investing in their businesses. So we have to make sure that they're successful.
Well, you're touching on something that relates directly to me. I'm also in business, deal with a lot of businesses, and the one thing that everybody tells me and that I've experienced directly is the, for lack of a better term, the bureaucracy that takes place, the time that it takes, the number of hurdles that you have to go through, and the dysfunction often that takes place in city government. It's very unfortunate, and it keeps businesses away. What would you do to change that?
Well, I think we need somebody in terms of the business offices to make sure that we have a set program and how quick we can get through on permits. It really is staggering when I have people that come in on my ward night, and I have ward nights on Monday nights, and I hear from people not just in my ward, in the new second ward, but throughout the city. And somebody is coming in, starting a small business, such as maybe what Rachel has, but they needed some permits. They have been paying rent for quite a period of time, and the permits haven't been able to get through. I pick up the phone on a Tuesday, and then the next day on Wednesday they're granted. You have to really shake your head and wonder, what were these permits doing on somebody's desk for all this period of time? Why couldn't they have been granted a much quicker period of time? We need to foster a not only for good green businesses, but for small businesses on how we expedite that process and they can get through right away.
In business, we say it's not what you know, it's who you know, and that's the power of networking. Rachel talked about that before, but it shouldn't necessarily be that way for business. When a small business wants to open, in my opinion, we should have tiers. We can potentially have a micro business, somebody that's just starting out a business. They need all the support that they can get to that point, like Rachel, that they can hire their first employee. You know how hard that is? And to go through the bureaucracy, I realize that the city wants to and needs to support big businesses and the big incubators like in 1871. We need to show a ton of support. What about the micro businesses? What about those tiny businesses that are trying to get off the ground floor? What are we going to do for them?
Well, you know, when you talk about 1871, as the many a time that I've gone through it and been up there in the merchandise mart, I always wonder, are we achieving and helping really small businesses? You know, we have small incubators throughout the city, but we need to really place them in our neighborhoods. I'll probably use the wrong number. Blue 1647, I think, is one that's in Pilsen. But something like that as an incubator we should be using in a lot of neighborhoods throughout the city. And I think it would foster development, foster small businesses, and help them out. You know, we do have a lot of laws on the books. Sometimes it's quite confusing. From state laws to federal laws. You know, the one problem that really exists is we need to find ways to help foster and support our small businesses. For every 10 businesses that are incorporated tomorrow, a year from now, only one of them will be around. And so we have to find the reasons on why those other 9 have failed. What were the reasons? Was it capital? Was it just not a sufficient business plan, inability to move forward, networking, finding the right kind of contracts? But we should be helping them across the board. Well, especially city government, and as you started off, that it's who you know. Yes, I think, as Rachel said, especially from networking, that's always great to help move things along, expand businesses. But city government should be, and all government should be, fair across the board. Help businesses. Help them and move them along, and make sure, when I say move them along, make sure they have the right permits. Make sure if they're small, maybe we shouldn't be charging fees for them. Maybe we should find tax-free incentives for a number of years. And then when somebody like Rachel hires a new employee, maybe for the first couple of years that she is tax-free on certain areas. That would foster her own growth.
Well, we're talking with Bob Fioretti, who represents the Chicago 2nd Ward, running for mayor. We've got to take a quick break in a few seconds, but Bob, would you commit to helping city contracts go to micro businesses if you were elected as mayor?
Oh, yes. In fact, on Friday, I rolled out a business economic development that said that we should be looking at that. We should be unbundling all of our major big contracts to help small businesses.
Well, once again, we're talking with Alderman Bob Fioretti, running for mayor of the city of Chicago. We're talking about his small business platform. He would commit to helping micro businesses get those city contracts, and there are a lot of them. After the break, we're going to continue the conversation. You're listening to Get Down to Business.
Ever since the November